Hi all, welcome to another Steve's Jurassic Garden Diary, or something to that effect. I hope you're good. I found something pretty annoying. We are looking, you can see the seat there. If I sort of pull it across to run this line, which we'll go to in a minute, you can see that seat is sticking out. I've illustrated it by putting a little bit of block underneath it, that's how much it's sticking out by. That is annoying, or really annoying. A, because it's all cemented in, and B, because if I come back, I did mention last week about, or last time, about something being not right there, and I mentioned about because I built this wall effectively inside of the true octagon, which is the black edging that you can see going all the way around, or hopefully at some point in a bit you will. So I'll sort that out. Yeah, so because that comes in, it's thrown the centre line of this sort of run, because this is as you sort of step out of the house. So what I've done is I've moved these pavers, which were over just in front of the bench. I've moved them as in the middle as I can, and also you've got the washing line, and then it's squaring up the line with everything centre there. So that's why I've built that little patio area out. Built that little patio area out, marked that little patio area out with the little bits of wood that I've got, just to square it all up. And I noticed that if we look straight up the line of this stone wall where we just were a minute ago, that step at the back, the seat at the back, steps out a little bit. So it's annoying because it's cemented in and it's heavy. So I'm going to have to move that probably off to the right, to line that up, and then that'll actually give me more room at the back for if I need to amend anything with the bar stool and the seating area. So yeah, high levels of annoyance, but there we go, what can you do? So anyway, as I said last time, I was going to clear out this corner, which I have done. I've been thinking about I've got irrigation in it at the moment. You can probably just see it floating around, and that little bit of experimentation at the fence there. I've sort of got the gist of how it all works now. So what the plan is here is to put one of those sort of shorter, wider water butts in, but effectively have it as high up off the ground as I can. So that's going to mean the top of it's going to be in line with the top of the fence, and the bottom of it's going to be about halfway up. And what that just means is that all the lower flower beds, we'll get to that bit in a minute, all the sort of lower flower beds where I've got the sort of drip irrigation on, I should be able to do all of them by gravity, which just basically means I won't need a pump or any mains pressure or anything like that. I can just let it open up, or put a timer on it, and it will just dribble out, because the source of the water is higher than the exit of the water, if that makes sense. So I've sort of been thinking then about the irrigation. Now that's quite good, because it means that all the lower ones and just the flower beds, which is just your sort of more general watering, you know what I mean, just sort of standard one, then that's fine, that's nice, that takes care of that. The other sort of thing I'm going to have to do is have another circuit of this irrigation. So effectively chop off that high pipe at the moment and the one for the vertical bed, put all that in properly around all the other flower beds, and then run a hose or connect up the other one across here to the bottom of the water bed, put a timer on it, and then I'll just open and close as and when I want it to, and just deliver water through gravity. There's sort of specialist watering which I need, which is when I do the vertical garden finally, I'm going to need to get some drip up to the top of the fence so it all drips down through the vertical garden, but obviously that's going to be higher than the source of the water, so gravity won't work, so that needs some pressure of some sort behind it. I've got the tree ferns and other such joyous things which need a fair bit of water in, so they need to be on a kind of, a higher circuit as well, and because those are going to be the highest watering frequencies, as opposed to watering the flower beds, I could link that one up to any pots I have around, and we'll get to the pots in a minute. And then that means that if I put it on a pump and link it in somehow to the water butt, then I can sort of do it all, including, stuff under pressure, all off fresh rainwater. And another thought I had, because I like to think, especially after a few vodkas, is I've got space for one here. You can see that gate there, which I've just made up, but I'm going to need that still there because I'm going to need to bring in blocks and patios and mixers and everything here because we haven't got an actual sort of back door, as it were. Everything would have to come through the house otherwise, so I'll leave that there, put one of those water butts up there, and then what I'm going to do is out the front I've got a similar situation where this would be the equivalent of the garage door, and then it's just fencing along the side. So I was thinking I could probably whack maybe 3 of those water butts out there. I think they're 300 litres, so that would give me 4 water butts, which would give me the capacity to hold 1200 litres, which I think might be enough. So that would be really useful. And then what I'll do is just, if I put them all at the same height, regardless of whether they're out here or out the front, then the gravity in my mind should be equal. So effectively, if I attach the hose to this water butt that's out here, it will go down the same rate as the other ones out the front, if that makes sense, because I'll just feed one long pipe where that pipe's coming through the wall at the bottom there. I'll just feed one long pipe into the water butt and then all the way through. That's just a little office which I'm messing around with, and then just through the garage and out and connect it up to the ones out the front, and then that would then link into a pump with timers and etc., which means that it's all automatic. And then going on even more than that, I'm sort of half thinking about looking into, I should say, like smart sensors, if you know what I mean. So I could put something in the ground, like 2 big pronged things like you get, and test the moisture, and when it reaches a certain level it'll automatically tell it to fire up. And then if you do it a certain way, obviously you can do it in different zones, split up the zones, so that each bed can be watered individually, sort of thing, under its own, automation. So we'll see what we do. But anyway, that's for me to ponder. Oh yeah, another thing I thought, actually, just so you can see where I'm going with this, is that if I come out with the framework because I have to build a frame out of fence posts effectively, just probably 6 of them, just to hold that much water. I'm going to have space underneath it for storage. So if I come out as far as the first paver there, this little rectangle that we're looking at now going back towards the fence, that is actually the perfect size for bags of this sort of stuff. I'll probably get 8 to 10 of them in there, and then in front of the drain where the roller is now in this sort of section, that'll be for like buckets and pots and things. And then the sort of, in line with the drain post and towards the wall, if I do it all right, I should be able to slide my mattock and spades and rake and whatnot in there. That roller, I won't need that for too much. But anyway, if you're wondering what that is coming out, that's a mains cable and a light armoured cable, and I've run them down through there and then they go under the ground. And I've put, I don't know if you've seen them before, but I've got drain pipes in all my beds. So I got that there, which is just normal plumbing 1.5-inch waste pipe that you get for your kitchen sink, and it actually runs underneath here and then comes up here, and this is so I can feed cables through it. It's nice and easy, you just literally jab the end of it. But say if I wanted a light in this centre bed to come off the main, not a solar one, then I can just feed some cable through that. It'll all be hidden, all be protected, and then just run it off and connect it up to the main, which is dug right under there. But you catch my drift. So yeah, that's all they are, and they actually end up, at the moment, they're right the way up in that corner, coiled up, because I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the lighting and the sockets yet. So that's something else for me to ponder, because I have to think about that. So yeah, so that's plenty for me to think about there. I'm sort of fleshing it all out and got there though, so it's just a case of finalising it and doing it, and buying the stuff for it. So we'll move on to these steps. I haven't actually set them officially in stone yet. The reason for that is, what was the reason for that? I filled in the bed at the back there. You can see new plant alert, a Dryopteris Arata. I just happened to be way out in the sticks and went past a nursery, or a garden centre, private one, on the way home the other day. So I thought I'd nip in and just see what they're all about, and they had a Dryopteris Arata, so I thought, right, I'll have that. And then they also had one of these which I haven't got, which is a Blechnum Spicant, or Spicant. I think this one's quite a small one. That one, obviously we know that one, that's one of my favourite ferns over there, so it'd be interesting to see is when that gets up to that size, if it looks exactly the same or if there's any variation between them. There's nothing on it, it just says Dryopteris Arata. So yeah, so I filled in this bed. What I did is, because this is obviously a wall with cement, I lent loads of gravel up against the wall at the bottom, put a load of soil in, and then when it was the same level, put another load of gravel in, load of soil in, load of gravel. So it's virtually gravel all the way up this wall, the other side of it, all the way up virtually, probably a couple of inches down, maybe 1 inch, and that's obviously just for drainage. I don't want water or wet soil sat against it if I can help it, just so nothing moves at a later date. I was messing around with these because it's actually quite difficult to work out exactly how I'm doing, because I haven't quite worked out the pattern of this yet. Now, I did go into it a little bit last time, but I'm going to have a table and chairs here, so I thought so we can have a decent size one for getting around it. You know, if someone wants to walk around the table, come out and sort of walk around the table. So I didn't realise I was zoomed in for all that. But yeah, that's going to kind of, you can see I've sort of done a half-assed one, octagon sort of sticking out there. And what was I thinking? Yeah, this is it. So if we look over here, can you see the grass at that level under the slide juts out more than it does in this bit here? This is more like a little run, and then over here where it steps up into what's going to be the patio, it's also out quite high. You probably won't be surprised to hear, but they are the same distance out, and that little cut back there is actually in the shape of an octagon. So I think what I need to do is get the exact sort of measurements for that, and then whatever the sort of cutout area is, if you like, let's say someone's just come and just sliced it off, whatever that is, do that down here, and then when you're sort of looking at it, it will look like this bit should slot into that bit, if you see what I mean. You probably don't, but yeah. These are the sort of things I've been thinking of. And also I had a good genius idea with this seating area. I was looking at ones online for the ones we want and stuff, and they're all coming out actually quite far, like it's sort of like an L-shaped sofa sort of thing, like that, you know, like the outdoor ones. And they all come out a bit further out to like where my shadow is, sort of more there. But then I had a genius idea of, I can do a custom one out of pallets and just shove some nice sort of cushions and seating on top of it, so I can actually do that custom. So that is happy days if you ask me. One of the things that's really been going through my mind this week is how good this Cyathea looks. I probably can't do it justice here, but they really suit pots. And do you know what I was thinking about these is, like, my favourite ferns, they always, in the garden, they almost have sort of a little bit of all of them. They've got the sort of gnarly sort of stipe, and it's slightly got dark hairs on it, so in the right light it looks darker, like the Arata. It's got the sort of, not the featheriness, but the way the fronts sort of come up, and then that one's gone horizontal at the right, almost flat. That's almost like sort of, you know, like the Lophosauria almost when they come up. And then obviously it's going to be a tree fern, so it'll obviously get big. So you sort of, you know, it's quite a good one. Obviously they're really difficult to overwinter. Funnily enough, I seen Yorkshire Chris and the other dude, George, did a double, or we're going to do a double, so I asked him about Cyatheas, and he actually answered the question. And effectively, they're really difficult to overwinter, like really difficult. So that's what I've potted that one up. I don't actually mind having them in pots. I just need to work out exactly how they'd be overwintered, because if they can be overwintered in a house or in a garage, that means I can get like 4 or 5 of them. And also what I was thinking of is, like, I could sort of wear this annual. As you can see, as soon as I said this thing's not flowering enough, it suddenly started chucking out loads of flowers. But if I imagined, I'll get my shadow out of the way, like to the left of the kitchen window, if I had a pot with a Cyathea in there that sort of come out over this way, that would look good. If I had one in there that sort of come out towards us as well, that would look good. Now obviously a really good one would be one that's 6 foot tall, 8 foot tall, and just comes out 3 meters, if you know what I mean, but that's not going to be realistic to overwinter for me. So I was thinking, if I got one that was maybe, or some that are like 4 foot, and then what I can do is raise the pot up, so the pot would probably be finishing in line with the sort of outside tap there. and then that also means that I can bring them inside quite easily over winter. I reckon I've got room for 5 inside the house in various places. So, you know, one there, one there, one there, and maybe 1 or 2 up in amongst the waterfall, you know, like do it so that there's space for a pot inside the waterfall, but you can't see the pot when you're looking at it, and that'll be nice and wet and they can take a bit of sun. And it'll give me massive arching fronds coming in from the waterfall over the patio area in the summer. You know, you can only do so much. So yeah, but unfortunately that is, you know, you're talking 500-600 quid a time for each of those plants, so we'll have to wait for a couple of years for them. I think I've got more important things to do. You can just see I've just built out a way for me to get around the garden without getting muddy, because it rained the other day and I absolutely, you can see all the dirt still on there from where I was just traipsing dirt around. The wife was not happy. But this Dryopteris is okay. It looks, I was looking at the differences between this and the Arata, because they've both got that sort of black stipe, or the stem, or the ratches, or whatever you want to call it. And the only real difference, apart from these leaf or leaflets, or whatever you want to call them, are slightly more pronounced than the Arata, but also is the colour as well. So if it looks like that, then that's going to be fine. But I did put my finger on why this one I think is the most Jurassic fern you can get. I said about it's got like the sort of dark, like you know, ratchet stipe, if you want to call it that, but also the colour of it when they come out is the exact colour you think of when you think about what a T-Rex colour would be. You know, obviously they come up with different things now and add feathers and blah 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 blah, but when you think in your mind's eye of the toys you used to get of that sort of dark grey green you can get on a T-Rex, it's that colour with a bit of black running through it. And yeah, I think, would I say it's my favourite fern? I don't know, but it's really good for the effect that I need, and hopefully if that thing sizes up I'm going to be really happy. So yeah, I haven't done the tying in of the hydrangea yet, and I have time for that. Let's have a quick T-Rex update. That Woodwardia fern frond is unfurling there nicely. T-Rex update. You can see the aphids are on it. The ants are on it protecting the aphids right there in the centre, so that's a bit annoying, but yeah, I mean it's one of them. It's actually got 2 or 3. I don't know whether they've been eating those leaves. I'm going to have to see what happens with these 3 stalks over the next week. If they come out eaten, that might have been actually what happened to these rather than the slugs, thinking about it. But if they come out eaten, well, I've been putting the copper around it at night to stop any slugs. Then he's definitely coming out of the pot, washing right off, coming out of the ground, going into a pot, washing right off, get all the aphids off, get all the ants off, put it somewhere well out of the way, out of reach, and yeah, move it up. But we'll give it a chance. But now looking at it, I think it is this Scheffler Rodendiflora is having a bit of trouble with them as well. You can see there's ants all over that leaf, that new leaf that's been eaten, just between the 2 sort of leaves, and then it's sending up another one there, but so I'm not too concerned about that one. Lophosaurus looking fantastic again. I am starting to mull over this bed as well a little bit, because obviously these dahlias are not going to last forever. The Insetti's going to have to come out, so I'm probably going to get a Dryopteris Wallaceiana here, which is going to marry up with that one there, and then I'll probably get a Lophosaurus for there to marry up with that one. And then my only question is, what am I going to have where the Insetti is, and what am I going to have when the gingers are, because they need to be evergreen, they need to be quite big. That one needs to be able to get up over a foot high wall. So yeah, plenty for me to think of, but we move on. So yeah, hope you're having a good one. See you later.